Located 11 miles north of Walhalla, South Carolina, on County Road 95, also known as the Oconee Station Road, just off Highway 11 in Oconee County, you will find one of South Carolina's most fascinating and often overlooked historical landmarks, the Oconee Station Historic Site. This was once a frontier outpost, and this stone building and brick house both represent a unique part of upstate South Carolina history. It is a story of conflict, trade, perseverance, and transformation. A story where Native American culture met the expanding frontier. So let's take a look at this historic site and also a beautiful waterfall located close by. The Cherokee Indians originally occupied the area that is now Oconee County, South Carolina. They inhabited the region for centuries before eventually surrendering the land to the United States through treaties in 1777 and 1816. The land where a Cherokee village called Oconee Town is now part of the Oconee Station Historic Site. The Cherokee meaning for Oconee means land beside the water, water eyes of the hills, or beside the water. The Cherokee language often ties land and water together with reverence, seeing them as living forces rather than simple geography. The end of the Revolutionary War brought major changes to what is now Oconee County. With the Cherokee forced from their lands, new opportunities were opened for white settlements. The state began issuing land grants, and a series of defensive outposts, including the Oconee Station, were built to protect the frontier. The station was constructed in 1792 and was built by the 30 or so militia members assigned to the area. This is the oldest building in Oconee County, South Carolina. The station was also referred to as an outpost or small fort, and they were deemed necessary because of the raids by the Creek Indians in the frontier areas of South Carolina. The purpose of the station was to serve as a military compound and outpost for the South Carolina State Militia. The stone block house was a frontier post that served as a defensive point and protection in case there was an attack. Both Creek and Cherokee tribes were located in the area during this time, and I was told that the Creeks, at least initially, were the main reason for the outpost, as they were attacking settlers as they pushed west through what was then the frontier. But there are no records to indicate that any attacks occurred in the area of this station. In response to these attacks, South Carolina commissioned 12 outposts to be built. The outposts were to be built along the Georgia and North Carolina borders. 6 of the outposts are known to have been completed. The other 6 may have been completed, but there are no records to indicate if they were indeed built. But in any case, this outpost is the last of the known stations still standing. That makes the Oconee Station a rare piece of history. Originally, there may have been additional buildings here, but existing records don't indicate this. But it would make sense, at least to me, that there would have been buildings to store supplies, for general storage, housing guards, as this would seem to be practical. I was told that it is thought that the commanding officer lived in a cabin located on site and the other militia members lived in tents. I was also told that the stones used to build the station came from Stump House Mountain, which is not far from this location. William Richards was an Irish immigrant and was part of the militia assigned here. In 1796, Richards purchased the property, which included the station. I was told that he purchased a total of 700 to 900 acres initially. And because the militia was commissioned to be here until 1799, Richards, in effect, had his own personal militia on his property. Of course, he was part of that militia. By 1796, the Oconee Station had also become a trading post. European immigrants, Native Americans, and militia members would come here to trade. Because of this, William Richards became very successful, as most people in the surrounding area came here to purchase or barter for items they needed. In 1805, William Richards built this house right beside the Oconee Station. This is thought to be the first brick home to be built in the northwest corner of South Carolina. I have read that once the house was built, it functioned as both a residence and trading post, and the Oconee Station was then used as a kitchen. And that would not have been unusual for that time, as most kitchens would have been separated from the house due to the threat of fire. And since the station was a two-story building, it could have also served as living quarters for some of his slaves. With the help of his two brothers and the 9 slaves that Richards owned at the time, the house was completed. William Richards was a brick mason, so it is probably safe to assume that he taught this trade to his brothers and to the slaves during this time. I also read that the bricks for the house were made on site. I wasn't able to find out a lot of information about William Richards, but he did die in 1809, just 4 years after the house was completed. I don't know how old he was, but I did read that he was a bachelor. After his death, relatives owned the property until it was sold at auction in the early 1840s. After that, it changed hands many times until 1968, when Dr. Edward Fernie from the University of Florida purchased the property and started the restoration of both buildings. Dr. Fernie replaced the clay that had been holding the stone and bricks in place with concrete and mortar. He also performed other restorations to the buildings. The state of South Carolina acquired the Oconee Station and the Richards House in 1976 when the state purchased the property from Dr. Fernie, and today it is a state historic site. Also, both the station and the house were both listed on the National Register of Historic Places in February of 1971. So, after checking out everything here, be sure you leave enough time to make the short walk to the Station Cove Falls. You can walk there from the Oconee Station, but I drove to the trailhead, which is a very short distance away. Once you leave the Oconee Station, take a right onto Oconee Station Road, and the trailhead is on your left. You can't miss it. The hike to the falls is very easy, about a half a mile or so through the woods. The trail is flat, shaded, and honestly very peaceful. I have read that if you come here in early spring, you'll see tons of wildflowers. I was here in the fall, so I missed that experience. This area is what is known as a cove forest. A cove forest is basically a small protected bowl-shaped valley or cove that traps moisture, has fertile soil, and stays cool year-round. This is why everything grows so well. Waterfalls are one of my favorite things in the world, and certainly people that come to Station Cove Falls come here for different reasons. I saw families here and children playing in the water around the falls. One person was reading a book. One couple was having lunch on one of the large rocks, and I saw some dogs there also, and they brought their human friends. This waterfall is really beautiful, and the setting is perfect. All the waterfalls I have ever seen are unique in their own way, just like people. Each one is beautiful. It doesn't take long at all to reach the waterfall. Station Cove isn't one of those loud waterfalls that you can hear from half a mile away. It is quieter and secluded, and honestly, that's part of what makes it special. The water comes from Station Cove Creek. I assume that after a good rainfall, you'll see more movement as in a stronger flow coming down the rock face. And during drier stretches, of course, less water will be available. Even though it's not a huge waterfall, the rock wall steals the show in my opinion. It's ancient, dark, and shaped by time and weather over millions of years. The contrast between the smooth water and the rugged rocks is reason enough to visit this calm and majestic place. From the top to the bottom, Station Cove Falls stretches about 60 feet. Watching the water glide down the rock wall is a wonderful sight. This is one of those places that reminds you just how remarkable nature can be. The Oconee Station, the Richards House, and Station Cove Falls are just a few of the historic sites located in Oconee County, South Carolina. I will leave a link to them in the description of this video. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Also, share with your family and friends. I would really appreciate it. I will have another video out soon, and until then, I wish you all the best.